there. Oh, hey there. Hey there, my Dorito posters. What's up? What's up? What's up? Are you staying crunchy and tasty and powdered cheese? I should really, say that a little bit more. The fans seem to really like me when I said that. The fans seem to really like that. I did somehow, trigger the, double butt bringer glitch that, I'm not sure how to replicate that, so, please don't ask me to do it. Yeah, I don't think they're still, I think they're, kind of gone away, though, after I restart the game. Yeah, kind of funny that, that glitch is still in the game. You'd think Mr. Ego would have gotten rid of that. Now that I mention it, the game did have a little bit of a rough patch, every now and again, whenever updates came out for it. Yeah, I remember some updates really bugged the game. Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like everything's fine now. Besides, it's running rather beautifully on PC. Yeah, I'm playing it on the Steam Deck. I mean, it's basically like running it on PC, basically. I mean, it's like a mini PC. A lot cheaper than a lot better than the Switch 2, I could say. A lot better than the Switch 2, I should say. Yeah, unfortunately, Switch 2 seems like it's gonna be, not a very good console, unfortunately. I might just skip this. I just might skip it. I might skip it just like I skipped the PS5. I was a big fan of the PS4, I should have just did what I did with the PS4. Oh, wait, why are we dipping? Alright, Alright, now, Alright, sorry about that. Seem to be dipping for some... Alright, now. We got killer barbers, we got demons, we got gargoyles. But watch out for that. Watch out for the killer barbers. They'll try to, scissor you like pretty women. Pretty women. Yeah, they'll try to scissor you like they scissor pretty women. Then again, I can't blame them for looking for pretty women to scissor. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a reference to, Sweeney Todd. The killer barber. Yeah, I actually have that movie. It's really good. Yeah, it is about a killer barber, but he's not trying to style his way through 666, hairstyles. No, not like our old friend Todd here. Although, I'm pretty sure Todd, although I know that Todd is a reference, Sweeney Todd. I remember I was talking to Iga about it when, the killer barber was first revealed, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure yeah, and I was like, and he was like, the killer barber. I was like, yo, is that Sweeney Todd reference? And then he was like, the killer barber of Vega Street. So I like to imagine, I had something to do with this, but, I probably had nothing to do with it at all. Alright, now, let's go face the next boss. Oh yeah, by the way, I did, I did upgrade my Oleander, so they're, rank 2 now. Alright, let's go take on the giant hand. The giant hand made of stained glass. No, nose. It's a giant hand. Alright, send out the pigs! Send out the pigs! Alright, send out the pigs! Send out the pigs, yeah! Congratulations, I got the medal! I got the medal! I got the medal! I beat him without taking damage! I did a lot better at that than Zangetsu 1. I think I did a lot better at that than Zangetsu 1. I did, one time beat Zangetsu 1 with, no damage, but, that I kind of screwed it up here. Yeah, the reason I did I'm pretty sure the reason I basically beat Zangetsu 1 with, no damage was because, I kind of, was on a different file, and I was kind of, I kind of, took my time to, max out, the flying pigs. Yeah, it turns out flying pigs are pretty effective against most of the bosses in the game. Which is pretty funny. Pretty funny, not gonna lie. That, pigs will fly. Yeah, pigs will fly and they'll, knock your teeth out. They're a good way to knock out the bad guy's teeth. Yeah, take that. Eat a pig. Yeah, eat a pig. Yeah, eat some pigs. Yeah, pork don't dork. Oh, I got a green shard. Actually, I already got the Bloodbringer shard. Yeah, I probably will switch off the Bloodbringer, but, I have the Bloodbringer for now. But I probably will switch off it later. Yeah, once I, get Dantalion, or, I did say I wanted to use the Beer Familiar. Yeah, to be kind of like, the evil version of Buchan. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I can't get, beer until, I'm pretty sure I can't get beer until, actually, I have an idea. Alright, I'm taking off the Roadbringer. And I'm not gonna have a familiar until I get, beer, Oh wait, I have a different idea. Alright, I have another idea. Alright, we're gonna use Buchan. Alright, now. Alright, Buchan is not corrupted yet by the powers of darkness, but he soon will be. Alright, he's trying to, get me to come back to my senses, as a magical girl. Because we got corrupted by, absorbing a tentacle demon into us. Yeah, it's kind of funny, that the first enemy in the game is a tentacle monster. No. Considering that we have a magical girl costume as a DLC, that has, unfortunate implications. Oh, no. Alright, maybe I better not say stuff like that now. That's kind of a little inappropriate. Not that I really care what's appropriate, what's not. I just don't want to be canceled by one of those, keyboard warrior Twitter Karens. They're like, Bree, why were you talking about tentacle monsters in correlation with, magical girls? And I'm like, nah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna explain that to you, it should be pretty obvious why. Oh wait, I don't need to be here. Alright, let's kick a dog in the face. Yeah, kick him in the face. Yeah. Sorry about that, sorry about that, that's an evil she-wolf, by the way. It's not a dog, it's actually an evil she-wolf. I did look up Pyramid, out of curiosity, and they're basically, like a Germanic, she-wolf monster. I guess you could say they're kind of a big bad wolf. But not quite the big bad wolf. I'm pretty sure Old King Lycan is supposed to be the big bad wolf. At least that's what the big bad wolf is in my lore, yeah. Old King Lycan. And yes, the big bad wolf is a villain in the lore, but he's like pretty small time, so... He's like pretty small time compared to, all the Red Moon, compared to, the Red Moon organization. Yeah, though I should probably make a little bit more villains that, aren't associated with Red Moon. Because I, kind of got into this phase where, Red Moon, everything's, connected to Red Moon. And I kind of have to, kind of step back from that because, I gotta do something a little bit different, I guess. Alright, I put that there because I knew that wall was breakable and I knew there was fried egg behind it. Alright, let's ride the lightning. Alright, let's ride the lightning. Let's ride the lightning chariot. Wait, this does remind me of, the lightning chariot in, Kid Icarus Uprising. The one he got it from, I believe Phosphora has that now. Yeah, Phosphora. Back when villainouses, did casual flirting with, heroines, to tease them. Back when female villains were allowed to, casually flirt with, the heroes to casually tease them. And it wasn't, it wasn't like a serious thing that, everybody started shipping them with, and it was like, this totally proves that they're totally in love with the protagonist, which means that Icarus is totally cheating on his waifu Palutena. And it's like, nah. Back when villainesses used to actually be sexy. Back when, you could make sexy villainesses and, not have everybody simp over them. And you couldn't have everybody simp over them like you would have with, villainesses like Ura today. And funny enough, Ura was meant to be, unsympathetic. It was meant to be very unsympathetic, if I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna get into the whole free run debates or anything like that, but look here, look, listen, Ura and her goons were very, very bad people who, wanted to do very, very bad things to a lot of good people. and that's not okay. And, most people think that's kind of not okay. People like me think that's kind of not okay. Alright, now we got Karabase. They're kind of a little bit of a pain to deal with since I'm using the boots weapon, though. Since I kind of like to dodge out of the way of, most weapons. Alright, when am I going to be able to upgrade you? When am I going to be able to upgrade the Scythe? Poison boots are, actually are good for a majority of the enemies, but just not for Karabase, unfortunately. Yeah, see how Karabase, just kind of accepts to dodge that? Nah, that's a little, it's kind of a bit of a problem. Alright, now here is where we can get monster blood. Oh, wait. Wait, maybe I should, take out this monkey first. No, wait, I remember it's called Simian, right? You're right. Simian, monkey, they're basically the same thing. Yeah, basically it's some sort of demonic ape. I've seen plenty of those. I played Revere to Promised Land. Alright, now. To be fair, monkeys and ape. To be fair, monkeys such as baboons are, rather violent, which is why tourists, in India, for example, are told not to, feed them or anything like that, because it encourages them to, hassle people and, steal their food. Yeah, that's an actual true fact. Alright, we gotta watch out for that. Oh wait, there's the monster blood I'm looking for. Alright, good thing the bet. Alright, Boo-chan, kick him in the kick the bad guy, kick Boo-chan into the bad guys. That's why we're using him. Yeah, I gotta warn you, since we're an evil succubus, since we got corrupted into a succubus, we're starting to see Boo-chan as more of a tool than an actual partner. That's just, that's just what the evil does. That's just what, bad guys do to their minions. Yeah, we're here to prove that we are the superior villain. We're here to prove that we are the superior villain, and also that sex sells. And, we gotta, and that sex sells. And maybe we'll act a little bit more like Plumeria, yeah. Yes, Plumeria is like a very, yeah, she's very, she doesn't like her job, you see. Yeah, unfortunately her job, involves, delivering, naughty dreams to mortals. And she really doesn't like it, and I can't blame her. Yeah, she has probably seen, what people, imagine on DeviantArt. She has probably seen everybody's DeviantArt page and is absolutely disgusted by it. But, I can't blame her. Yeah. Yeah, I can't blame her. Yeah, you have no idea. You know how many people, I don't know how many people secretly like Fate. You know how many Lords in Fire Emblem secretly have a foot fetish? or want to marry their cousins, or ciscons? It's actually more than you think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a Fire Emblem Fates joke, by the way. Yeah, in case you're wondering. Alright, kick the backer pet in the face. Sorry about that. That's somebody's pet right there, and I kind of kicked them in the face. I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry to the person whose pet that was. Alright, let's get a little toxic on the bunny ladies. Alright, and over here, we're kind of, over here, we need a passport. We need a passport, which we'll get after defeating the Twin Dragons, which is the goal for today's stream. Yeah, that way we can get on the train. And then once we get on the train, we can fight Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean the Speed Demon, yeah. Yeah, Speed Demon who's totally not Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic, I gotta go fast. Eat chili dogs. Collect rings. Oh no, watch out for the knife. Now watch out, these bunny ladies like to throw knives. Also, the bunny ladies have one of the best shards in the entire game. And I kinda wanna grind for it. Alright, alright now. Of course, bunny ladies were, very popularized by Hugh Hefner. Which is probably why, people think that rabbits eat carrots. Obviously carrots being a very, phallic, shaped object. Yeah, that's probably where it came from. Yeah, and it was kind of popularized by Bugs Bunny. Yeah. Although Bugs Bunny was less of a Playboy bunny and more of an actual rabbit, and he was more about, he was more about trolling he was more about trolling a hunter, who was trying to constantly murder him. And we like Bugs Bunny. He's a good little troll. If Bugs Bunny got into a fight with Popeye, I don't think I know who would win. I'd probably put my money on Popeye though. I put my money on Popeye, but him and Bugs Bunny do have similar, do have similar feats. Due to, totally realistic power scaling, which is, 100% accurate, and, isn't taken from any sort of hyperbolic statements whatsoever. All we have to do is just say that a character can do something, and it's 100% totally true. I mean, that's what the, power scale wiki, told me. It's not like characters, it's not like characters have it's not like, things like exaggeration and hyperbole exist. Although, the secret, actually OP character is actually Bo. Yeah, he's stronger than, he's the strongest protagonist ever. I mean, Bobo basically is a Japanese character with Toon Force. like with actual Toon Force. So he's already stronger than Saitama. Yeah, I mean, instant death attacks were a thing very early into Bobo. So he's already stronger than, Saitama. Saying as, Bobo survived that and, has, greater feats than Saitama. Greater feats than Saitama pretty much early on. Why, Bobo can, basically manipulate the plot and, break comic panels. That's how you know he's actually super duper strong. Any character that can 100% can break comic panels by punching hard enough is basically the strongest. Yeah, Popeye was able to do that, by the way. Of course, I wonder what's inside of Popeye's, I wonder if there's any drugs inside of Popeye's, spinach. Spinach is actually, yeah. Then again, we all know that Mario does mushrooms, and Mario is kind of inspired by Popeye. Probably why Mario is so insanely strong. Yeah, I mean, you would think that Sonic the Hedgehog, I know that Sonic the Hedgehog kind of has the advantage on speed, and Sonic the Hedgehog is no slouch when it comes to feats. Especially, comic book Sonic. Especially comic book Sonic. Comic book Sonic is, something else, then, would definitely 100% beat Mario. Yeah, it's a sad thing that, Ken Penders kind of killed that. Oh, hey, we got the Bunny Girl shard. We got the Bunny Girl shard. Yeah, we got Bunny Morphosis. We can turn into a Bunny Girl. Alright, unfortunately, I do need some Lily Tails. Unfortunately, I also need some Lily Tails, too. Alright, Pooh-chan. Alright, now Pooh-chan, get him. Yeah, we'll kick Pooh-chan right on over to him. Yeah, we're mistreating our magical girl pet because we became a succubus. Yeah. Magical girls are made to suffer. I mean, Indamati definitely suffers as a magical girl. Yeah, one time, a crazy priest, tied me to a stake and, actually burned me with very much the intention to kill me. And then there was a time, my wing got sliced off my back by a steel knife, and was eaten by the butcher. And then there was a time, I was captured and psychologically tortured by them in a night. And I kind of became Sindamati for a while, and really hurt my friends, unfortunately. Yeah, they were finally able to subdue me, but, you know, they were finally able to subdue me, and I kind of, I was finally able to, actually control Cinemati after that. Because Lumina Knight basically was also controlling Cinemati because, Cinemati, didn't want to, go along with her because Cinemati, wanted to be the superior villain. That's just how she is. That's kind of just how Cinemati is. So Cinemati kind of figured, as long as, Lumina Knight is my enemy, she's also her enemy too. Though Cinemati still is very much, I'm gonna do things my way, and I will, violate the no-kill rule. Cinemati does have a rule against killing people, and yes, that does include henchmen. Yes, that does include henchmen, just in case you're asking. Yeah, Cinemati does have an no-kill rule, and yes, that does include evil henchmen. Yeah, obviously, a lot of henchmen are basically, driven to, villains because of desperation, kind of wanting the paycheck. And, super villains are kind of one of the few people that, kind of, hire certain people. Besides, it's not like Cinemati actually has to kill people. I mean, I can, trap them in, subspace or, turn them into toads. It's not like I have to actually kill people. It's not like I have to actually kill people. Hey, what? Uh-oh. No. Alright, I think I might be stuck in the environment. Whoops, I kind of got stuck in the environment, so I had to use one of my waystones. Alright, good thing I picked up a couple of those. I think Cinemati kind of got stuck in one... I think, I got stuck in the environment, so unfortunately I had to, use one of my waystones to get out. Yeah, I was trying to fill in the map, too. Yeah, I kind of was trying to fill in the map there and, obviously get those bullets. Actually, I don't really need the bullets. It's not like I'm gonna use Mirai. I will not be using Mirai Scepter. I mean, no shade on the guns or anything, but the really good part about guns is when you actually can use the good ammo for them. And unfortunately, good ammo is not cheap in this game. It kind of requires a lot of resources. Guns are a little bit slow. Yeah, I mean, there is another weapon that basically is a magical girl one, so. So it's not like it's a major loss if you want to do a magical girl run, to not stick with the Mirai Scepter. I mean, you can do a full magical girl run without using the Mirai Scepter, so you don't have to stick with it. Besides, Mirai Scepter does require you to upgrade materials that are like kind of in the library Hall of Termination. Yeah, I believe the earliest you can get a Vespine Wing, which you need for the Mirai Scepter, is kind of in it's in the library. Yeah, the upper part of the library. Yeah, the really hard part of the harder part of the library. Not when you first go in to fight the speed demon. I mean the wing guy. No, the speed demon's in a different part of the castle. Yeah, sorry about that. I just said speed demon. I don't know what I was thinking with that. No, that's in the alchemy lab. That's past the train. Yeah, that's not in the library. No. Yeah, why did I even say that? Blah, blah. I don't like my English. Come on, Cinemati, English good. Come on, Cinemati, learn to speak. Come on, Cinemati, learn to speak. Yeah, Cinemati's gonna become an AI. Actually, I'm just kidding about that. I would never associate, AI slap with Cinemati. Oh, one time I did, get fan art of, Cinemati with that very much clearly was using AI art. I, was like, yeah, I was, being as nice as possible to that, but, I knew it was AI, and, lots of people were like, no, that's AI. Yeah, he was kind of trying to pretend, and they were trying to pretend that it wasn't AI, even though it was clearly AI. That, you know, was kind of the bad part, really. I don't think I've ever seen them since, though. Yeah, they were very, yeah. Yeah, you know, I really didn't say anything myself because I, you know, have a tendency to try to, you know, be nice to people. Because I try not to be mean or, you know, and, you know, try to get along with people. So I kind of have a little bit of trouble, you know, speaking my mind sometimes. Yeah, just a little. I'm trying to work on that, but, you know, I think the way I am trying to do that is kind of a bit wrong, unfortunately. Because I really shouldn't be, you know, doing it, you know, excessively or too much, yeah? Alright, we got Scythe Mites. Alright, there is a perfect spell that's later that, you know, can kill Scythe Mites, you know, more efficiently. Yeah, Scythe Mites are kind of annoying once when I have boots. You know, I'm having no problem so far with them. But, you know, they're actually pretty annoying with just the boots. They're kind of annoying with the Scythe, too. Yeah, in fact, the first time I'm gonna be able to upgrade Scythe is once I can get Sinister Skulls. I missed it by a mile. I tried to jump for it. Don't worry, I will get that later. Don't worry, I will get that treasure chest later. Yeah, I already know what's inside of it. I know that's the Flying Edge. Flying Edge is a very good weapon, but, you know, I don't really need it. I don't really need it right now. I mean, it's a very good weapon, though. I just don't really need it right now. I can get it later. Alright, these Harpies, you know, have kind of one of the best shards in the entire game. So, obviously, I'm gonna kind of want that. Plus, it'll make it easier to deal with, you know, the Scythe Mites. Obviously, it may not drop right away. Oh, well, at least they're... I know they're a flying enemy, but, you know, they're not too hard for the boots. Yeah, at least the boots are fast... The boots are reasonably fast enough. Plus, you know, with the Oleanders, they also have poison enemies, which, you know, even if I miss, you know... If I poison on the first hit, I might be able to take out the enemy. Oh yeah, plus these guys drop G-bone steaks and also strawberries, which I'm gonna be needing. You know, obviously to cook food, since you know strawberries are an ingredient that I'm going to need. Obviously. Oh wait, I forgot to get. Oh shit, I forgot to get beast milk. Oh, I need to go back and get beast milk too. All right, I'll actually worry about that one. Shit. Alright, it shouldn't take me too hard. It shouldn't take me... Oh, there it is. Alright, there's the first Thunder Shard. Alright, there's the first Thunder Shard. Alright, now, let's see, I don't really need to get strawberries or G-bones, or G-bone steaks right now. Yeah, I think I'll worry about getting those later. I'll worry about getting those later, even though, you know, every bit of food, you know, does help in this game. Since, you know, the food, once you eat it for the first time, it gives you a permanent stat increase. Which, you know, I wish more players would, you know, invest in when they're playing this game for the first time. I mean, the game's, you know, like saying, hey, if you eat them for the first time, you get a permanent setup, and, you know, not a lot of people, you know, when they're first playing this, you know, kind of do that. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, some of the stuff, you know, even early on, you know, increases luck. Sheeple! Well, look at the shards you've amassed. How's it feel to command the powers of demons?
It feels like nothing.
Human power, you're a fool if you think you can suck with that much devil. Sure you can call yourself human.
I'm not the fool here, and I will never give in to you or them.
Alright, let me just turn up the volume just a little bit.
Never say never, Miriam.
Alright, and Alfred's here. Alfred is kind of here to save Miriam, but, you know, he kind of wants the book.
I have you now, Jibble. The
He wants the book to, you know, get rid of the castle.
How are you still even alive?
Of course, we kind of trust Dominique, who's kind of, you know, kind of pitting us against basically everybody.
And now you die.
Master,
King Bale,
you
huh?
must conserve your...
Oh, King Bale. Alright, King Bale's like, you know, the big bad boss monster of, you know, the Argothia.
Get chased by the train.
You know, kind of makes me wish, you know, that Yu-Gi-Oh had an archetype, you know, based on the Argothia. I mean, there were some Castlevania monsters that were based on the Argothia, but you know, this game really leans heavily into Argothia. You know, which is basically the lesser case of Solomon and all that. Yeah, some silly people, you know, that I used to know back when I used to be, you know, kind of in a cult. They kind of used to think that the Argothia was like a totally legit, you know, demon summoning book. Yeah, of course I obviously, you know, obviously I was like, yo. And obviously I don't believe that anymore, unfortunately. Actually, fortunately, yeah. Alright, over here is a Poltergeist, and Poltergeist, you know, Poltergeist do drop, you know, Alcahest, which is pretty nice. You know, obviously you can break down some things for, you know, dragon eggs, and also, you know, of course, getting soy sauce. Wait, that's 100 gold, ooh. I was hoping for something else. Alright, and these cages are Gustians, which are pretty tough enemies, but they do have a really good shard. I might, you know, grind those guys later. Although there is a better grind spot a little bit later that's, you know, kind of past the train. Which, you know, since I, you know, do plan on doing the dragon, I could probably get there pretty easily. I could probably get there rather easily and, you know, start grinding over there. Oh wait, I should probably go down here first. Oh wait, and we got one of these sexy demonesses. You can not... those sexy demonesses are actually not too bad. They only start to get hostile once you start attacking them. Plus, if you don't attack them for quite a long time, they actually give you a stat boost. You know, a temporary one, but you know, they will give it to you. Kind of nice of them to do that. Not sure what the deal is with that. But you know, there's another enemy that's sort of like them, but they're a little bit more hostile. They kind of don't deal with blessing, plus they're a little bit more hostile. And of course the other ones do light magic. kind of one of the few enemies that are light resist. Yeah, of course, you know, this being basically a Castlevania game, you know, lots of enemies, you know, are very weak, or, you know, there aren't too many enemies that resist light. Well, in this game, there's a little bit more enemies that resist light. Some of them are bosses. And of course, we and then we go across the bookcase to get a secrets, or like in Symphony of Night. Oh yeah, there is another secret that if you have high jump, you can come into the library and, you know, go under the librarian. Of course, we haven't met him just yet, but, you know, we'll meet him soon. Alright, I'll just kick that cannon mortar out of my face. Alright, these poltergeists are not too hard. Alright, I got... oh, wow. Oh, I already got about, like, 9 augment intelligence. So I don't need another one. Alright, the book shards do actually have a familiar shard. And that's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's one of the better familiar shards in the game. You know, not that really any of the familiar shards are, you know, especially awesome, but you know, the book one is actually pretty good. You know, Karabase is also pretty good if, you know, you kind of suck at the game. Since Karabase, you know, obviously has the ability to use fairy healing items. Does mean you have to invest, you know, in fairy medicine, fairy elixirs, and, you know, all that. But, you know, fairy's, you know, very good for doing that. And the reason you use Beer and you know, Buchan is basically, you know, once you get double jump, you can kind of kick bounce off them. Right now, please excuse me. I'm trying to, you know, get you know, the book shard. Yeah, the book shard is really good. Not even gonna lie in the least. Oh wait, once I get double jump, I should, you know, revisit the ship too. There is something else I can do over there. Alright, kind of encourage more taste. Oh yeah, tome scraps. Tome scraps are kind of what you use to upgrade the book. Alright, now, he kind of flew up there, huh? Alright, he's kind of up there. Alright, please come back down, please. Please come back down. There we go, got him. Alright, now. Yeah, these book enemies kind of remind me of when I was playing Curse of the Moon 1. Now, I remember the library level being really hard in that game, too. Oh, there's the book shard. Alright, there's the book familiar. Danta Alian. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna assume it's probably some evil creature or something. You know, they kind of remind me of the Evil Dead book. They kind of remind me of the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead. If I'm gonna, you know, be 100% honest. So a waystone. Right now she's toxic, so, you know, that's gonna, you know, that's gonna obviously do damage ticks. Oh, there we go. Blue shard. Yeah, I knew she had a blue shard. Yeah, it's temporary stat increase. It's kind of like Skyfish. But, you know, kind of a little bit better. Yeah, Skyfish is, you know, not very good, and, you know... Skyfish and REFSR was not very good. It, you know, was very temporary and very expensive. Alright, and over here is, you know, OD. Yeah, alright, get your JoJo references out of the way. JoJo, dun 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 dun, Golden Wind! Yeah, ironically enough, you can fight this guy, and yes, he does have time stop. Yeah, his name was OD, which was spelled D-O backwards! It's D-O backwards! D-O, dun 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 dun, Golden Wind! D-O, dun 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 dun, Golden Wind! Although, you know, I will say Dio is probably, you know, one of the most evil villains I've ever seen ever. Dio is probably one of the most evil villains I've ever seen, and, since. I mean, some other villains, you know, in media come kind of close, but, you know, Dio is kind of on another level. I mean, there are definitely some, yeah. You know, he's sort of like, you know, Shao Tucker, he's sort of like Griffith a little bit. Oh, wow, ow, he kicked me in the face. No, that kid kicked sand in Cool Cat's face, Cool Cat's face. Stop running it. Stop running. Why are you running? Stop running from the pigs. No, watch out for the arrows. Yeah, eat my pigs. Eat my pigs of justice. Yeah, pigs fly. Yeah, how do you like them pigs? How you like flying pigs? Yeah, eat my flying pigs of justice. Justice. Da-da-dun-dun. Feather crown. Pog. Alright, that was really poggers, guys. That was really poggers. By the way, that was really poggers. Pog. D-O, dun-dun-dun-dun, Golden Wind. Alright, now let's keep going. Shall we? Yeah, let's go. Alright, now, nobody showed up yet. Oh, well, they're probably, you know, busy with Enderman. I don't know where everybody is. They're probably busy with Enderman. Let's see, what's Enderman doing? Oh, wait, he's playing Ender Magnolia, isn't he? He's probably, you know, stuck in a really intense boss fight. Now, I can only imagine, you know, considering Ender Magnolia is kind of hard, isn't it? Oh, wait, I did say I needed to go back to the ship, didn't I? Yeah, I'll go back to the ship real quick, and I also have one more area. I also have a couple more areas. Alright, first off, let's grab the corn. Alright, let's grab the corn, and I will, you know, plant some more, and I will plant more rice. Mates, what was I supposed to get for you again? Let's see, what was I supposed to get for you again? Quest items. No, flame ring. I need a rupee for that. I need a ruby for that. Wait, I do know where there's an enemy that drops a rupee. Yeah, I know which enemy drops a rupee, but I don't think they drop one. Hold on, let me check my inventory. No, I don't think I have any rupees. No, I thought they might drop it if I pass by them. No, they didn't drop it. Alright, let's go back to the ship first and foremost. Let's go over here. Alright, I'll kick you away. Yeah, you can just bounce off of Buchan, so we're kind of using Buchan as a stepping stone. Poor Buchan. Poor Buchan, their master gets corrupted, and then their master, decides to use them more of a tool. Yeah, instead of a respected teammate. While their teammate's slowly going insane and, becoming more and more lewd, being a succubus and everything. And, saying lots of sus stuff without, really thinking about it. That's kind of what happens when, magical girls get corrupted into succubuses. Yeah, at least that's what all the dojins say. Oh well, watch out. Oh, whoops. Okay, I bounced off the enemy. There we go. And over here, obviously, is the Plunderer's Ring, which I want to equip. I want to get that. Yeah, I do want to get that because that, increases the amount of items that I can get from, defeating enemies. I mean, that, is actually very good. It works really well with, Pickpocket from Gustian. Gustian's the other... Yeah, I almost said monkey, but, I probably should have clarified that it's Gustian. The purple monkey, yeah. Not the red one. Yeah, the monkey that's, purple, yeah. Not the red one, no. The red one has a very different shard, yeah. In fact, I'm pretty sure the red one's, shard is not very good. Oh wait, there is one more thing we can do on the ship. We're gonna have to go back a little bit. Don't worry though, we're pretty much stronger than all the enemies in the ship. Yeah, if you remember correctly, there was an area we couldn't jump up, towards at the beginning. Although I guess I can fill that out. Alright, I know. Alright, now the good news about double jump is that, kinda, makes the boots just a little bit better. Yeah, simply because, you get kick bounce, and also you can double jump and, kind of move around a little bit better, which, kind of extends the range of, being able to kick stuff. Plus, when you kick bounce on enemies, it does lots more damage when you're... It does lots more damage when you have boots on. Alright, over here is a blank portrait, which I'm hoping is not the captain. Yeah, if you remember Captain from, that one Castlevania game, that was really not a fun enemy. They brought that enemy back in, Curse of the Moon 1. On Curse of the Moon 1 ship level. And that enemy was, super fun. That enemy was, super fun, and, I was, all there for that. I was, I was not salty at all of that. I was definitely 100% not salty at that. Yeah, obviously, if you remember the captain from Rondo Blood, he kind of, is an instant death enemy. Yeah, if he catches you, it's like instant death. I will say, Buchan does, makes her... Oh, wait, I also remember there's something else I want. There's also something... Oh, wait. Yeah, there's something else I want to do at Buchan real quick. Yeah, I remember Buchan also allows you to get access to a certain area. Yeah, it's a certain area somewhere near the entrance of the... Somewhere in the entrance region of the castle. So let me just, I believe it's in one of the... Alright, this is kind of the closest work point. Yeah, remember, it can help you get the meat dishes I remember Buchan can help you get the meat dishes a little bit easier. So, yeah, and you're kind of not supposed to have meat dishes until you can get, inverts. Or, you can just bounce off up here or, Buchan. So it's kind of another instance of, you know, Buchan kind of making, you know, some things a little bit easier than, you know, it is in vanilla. You know, without the DLC. In a little bit of a way. Alright, kick the knight in the face. I like that, you know, I like that Miriam's, you know, feet are so strong that, you know, they can just kick right through a knight's armor. I mean, could you imagine there being a succubus, you know, who could do that? You know, of course, if I were making a succubus character, I'd probably make them a little bit more like Plumeria. I kind of feel like that kind of attitude would, you know, be perfect. Oh, hey, a blood fountain. Now, this kind of reminds me of, you know, George MacDonald's, you know, book about, you know, Lilith. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Elizabeth Bathory. Yeah, funny enough, there is a villain, you know, in this game that's based on Elizabeth Bathory. Kind of also reminds me of, you know, also Lady D and, you know, Resident Evil Village. You know, who, you know, was heavily advertised, you know, and heavily advertised in the game, you know, despite, you know, being the first boss. Wait, didn't they make Lady D take on, you know, a bigger role in one of the DLCs? I think I remember something about that. Yeah, I should probably go back and play Resident Evil Village again. You know, I was not very good the first time I was playing that. I remember not being very good when I was first playing it. Alright, just let me get rid of the harpies so they're not in the way. Alright, Buchan. Alright, Buchan, the reason I brought you here is because I need you to be kind of a boost for me. Wait, this falls Brickle? Ooh, an MP max up. Yeah, I did want that. Alright, Buchan, boost me up. There we go. Yeah, that's why Buchan is, you know, very good. That's why bouncing, and Buchan are both very good. Alright, kick the enemy in the face. Yeah. Uh-oh, I'm cursed. Oh no, I think I got a little too in range of that, you know, of that Banshee. I mean, Kalagap is... I mean, I don't know how to pronounce that enemy's name in particular, but, you know, it's basically a Banshee. Oh, wait, I remember that enemy. Oh, nice, an emerald. But we're over here for the meat dish recipe. Oh, hey, we got a sinister skull. Nice. Well, that's what I was looking for anyway. Wait, don't we have a quest to kill shield outsiders and X outsiders? No, whoops. No, whoops, I gotta watch out for the sword. Gotta be careful of the sword, too. Kinda gotta be careful of the sword as well. Now watch out for the sword. What are you doing? Alright, let me check my quests. No, wait, did I not get it? I don't think I got it yet. Man, I don't think I got the quest. Oh, whoops. Yeah, watch out for that lady. Watch out for that lady, she's kind of dangerous because she curses you. That's kind of one of the main reasons she's dangerous. Right now... Oh, hey, Sabnok. You know, I'm considering, you know, making my own version of Sabnok. You know, though, you know, I should probably make my own version of, you know, the Argothia monsters, you know, as, you know, evil henchmen. Might make them, you know, members of Legion. Probably will make them members of Legion. Alright, now. Alright, now I will buy a couple more Waystones.
Thank you.
I'll buy a couple Waystones.
Then we have a deal.
Alright, I'll buy a few more ingredients too.
Thanks. Then we have a deal.
Alright, I am gonna need a few more ingredients.
Many thanks.
Alright, now that I got the meat. Oh yeah, I should definitely check these quests.
Have you? Here's what I've help kill that. Got it.
Alright, now Porter. Oh, we got demons.
Help kill.
I mean, alright, we got demons and we got wolfmen.
Kill.
Well, you know, Alright, it's my fault. I probably should have been checking this quest, yeah. I should have probably been checking these. Well, at least you know all of them are relatively easy to do. Yeah, that's what I was missing. I could have sworn I was missing that, so I take the full responsibility for that. Alright, harvest is not done. Alright, we do not have a rupee yet, do we? Yeah, kinda neat. Oh yeah, since we have double jump, we can go to the underwater area, too. Alright, first off, I will go back to the Garden of Silence. I kinda need to do a couple things over there, anyway. I kinda was on my way to doing something else over there, anyway, besides a waterway. Yeah, the underground waterway is, you know, not too hard. Although I hope I don't mess up the jump to get the curry. I hope I don't mess up the jump to get the curry, because I kind of need the curry to, you know, upgrade, you know, Pig. Yeah, it's kind of past the double jump, past the waterfall, and you know, I'll tell you what, if I miss the jump, I'll just you know, exit and restart the game. I will probably be doing that. Alright, first and foremost, I won't head to the waterway right away because, you know, I have to grind the enemies known as Zagan. Yeah, they're this enemy. Yeah, they're this freaky cow with, you know, human hand feet. Yeah, it's kind of weird that they have human hand feet. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of a little unnerving. Not gonna lie. Yeah, human hand feet are kind of unnerving, not gonna lie. Alright, we got a ring. I kind of need monster blood, though. Alright, might as well defeat the enemies over later. Alright, now Boo-chan, get him. Come on, Boo-chan, get him. There we go, alright. The waterway is down there, but, you know, I won't go there. I have to grind on Sahagins first. I mean, no, not Sahagins. I'm thinking of a different game. There's no Sahagins in this game. What am I thinking? I have to grind Zagan. Yeah, Zagan. They're very different from Sahagins. Yeah, Sahagins are like fish people. Or like, fish people. They're like, you know, fish people that are like monsters, yeah. They're like monster fish people. Yeah, they're like fish people that are monsters, yeah. Yeah, fish people. Fight like fish and slave all people. Yeah, at least I'm pretty sure that's what Sahagins want. Or whatever it is, you know, that fish people want to do. Probably just eat people. They probably just eat people as a bit of snack. Yeah, fish people, they're sort of like Undyne, a little bit, you know, from Undertale. No, only Undyne is, you know, is actually cool. At least I think, you know, Undyne was a Sahagin. He might be something else entirely. No, I don't think Undynes are, yeah, I'm pretty sure Undynes are supposed to be more like elementals or something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Undynes themselves are supposed to be more of an elemental creature. Alright, I need to get a few of these beast milks because I need them for some dishes. Ooh, nice. And we got a whole bunch of items for that. Oh yeah, rennet is also for cheese. So if you need cheese for, you know, making pizza yourself, you can kind of do it. Hey, you can do it if you really want to. Although you can also just get cheese from the giant rats, which is a lot easier. And you can do it a little bit sooner. Alright, I will, you know, get a few more of those. Alright, now it's being a little stingy on that beast milk. Beast milk, I think, is a little bit of a rare item. Gotta remember, the shards off this guy are very good, but, you know, they're kind of rare. Yeah, kind of strange I got, like, 2 shards already off him. I guess my luck is, you know, kind of a little bit higher. Alright, that's more rennet. Yeah, rennet is, like, very common. Yeah, some enemies have, like, super rare drops in this game, like, you know, those flying pigs, they sometimes drop pork cutlets. Funny enough, you can actually use the pork cutlets to, you know, kind of upgrade, you know, flying pigs, which is kind of what I did. Oh, nice, a beast milk. Well, I need a little bit more beast milk. Maybe, like, a couple more. So, grind these guys up just a little bit. Yeah, kick the cows in the face, yeah. Yeah, kick them in their... yeah. They're still kind of freaking me out because they, you know, have human hand feet. Yeah, there was one time when I was streaming this game, somebody, you know, in chat was like pointing out, you know, yo, they got like human hand feet. And I was like, what? And then I noticed, oh no, they really do have human hand feet. And I was like, I can't unsee it now. I mean, could you imagine there being a bovine in real life with like human hand feet? You know, I would be very freaked out by that. That's like you know having a dog with a humanoid face. I'm pretty sure there's a Japanese yokai based on that. or like there being a cat with, you know, humanoid face. You know, just putting random humanoid stuff on, you know, any animal, but, you know, basically turning into a Eldritch abomination, really. Although, you know, to most animals, I'm pretty sure we look like an Eldritch abomination, really. Or maybe cats just, or maybe they just see us like as a, or maybe they just see us as a predator or something like that. Which I don't blame them. Humans have basically been a classical endurance predator. Yeah, our human ancestors used to basically, you know, survive by, you know, basically outlasting most animals that they were hunting, basically. Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, how Death and, you know, and you know, the Puss in Boots movie is kind of portrayed as a wolf. You know why that is? That's because wolves are also endurance predators. Which, you know, is kind of perfect for, you know, which is kind of perfect for personifying death. Kind of perfect for when you want to personify death. No, wait. Yeah. Seeing as one could say that death is like basically like an unstoppable force of nature, that is basically the ultimate endurance predator, I guess. No, I'm pretty sure, you know, the Grim Reapers are a little bit nicer than that. Seeing as Grim Reapers are supposed to be like angels or something. No, death is very much about loss. No, death is not a very good subject, I think. Maybe I'll stop talking about it. Ooh, or dog shard. Alright now. Oh no, we got toads. Ugh, they're like spawned from demon baptisms. Ugh. They're like spawned from demonic blasphemous baptisms. Ugh. Wait, demons have baptisms? Yeah, they have demon baptisms, you know, kind of, you know, to kind of be like, nah, we ain't with God. Because you see they're edgy rebels against their old man. You see they're like those edgy kids that are rebelling against their old man. You see they're like edgy Eldritch abominations. They're like rebelling against their old man. Which is honestly kind of silly. Kind of silly, but you know, whatever. Alright, up here is the elemental ammunition. Which we're not using guns, so I'm not gonna be using that. Wait, maybe I might use the magical girl gun for, you know, irony's sake. Alright, first and foremost, I will go down here before saving. Oh hey, HP max up, nice. Alright, I will go down here. Oh yeah, and we need to grab another shortcut. You know, grabbing shortcuts is pretty nice. Alright, over here we have... Oh wait, we got a shard right away? Nice. First try. Alright, I did say I wanted to... Oh yeah, that car... Alright, this guy, I remember him. Yeah, I was kind of saying this last stream, you know, of Bloodstained, but, you know, I was saying, you know, I kind of wanted to make him into kind of like, you know, a you know, giant crown of thorns starfish. You know, kind of, you know, a little bit based on their Persona version of him. Yeah, I thought, you know, I kind of want to have it like with, you know, like a creepy old man face. With like a big beard. Yeah, gotta really sell those. You know, gotta really sell it on the Eldritch angle. You know, I did say, you know, my lord, that, you know, things like succubuses were actually, you know, Eldritch monsters. pretty much, those succubuses are more like, have you ever played Song of Seiya? Nah, that's a little bit more what succubuses are like, in my lore. Although to be fair, succubuses are basically lower ranking, love deities that, kind of sided with Astarte. As like an evil corrupt love goddess. Yeah, and yes, your eyes do not deceive you. That is indeed evil Shovel Knight. Yeah, Shovel Knight is in this game and he's a villain. He also has armor where you can kind of become him, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, alright, kick the bad guys in the face. Yeah, kick the bad guys in the face. Yeah, I love kicking bad guys in the face. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun, using something a little bit different than what I usually do is pretty cool. So, yeah, though usually when I'm playing this game, I kind of, stick to the lightsaber. Yeah, there is a lightsaber in this game, and yes, you can kind of make it with the 8-bit coin. Hey, what the heck hit me? Alright, now watch out. Alright, watch out for Shovel Knight. Yeah, Shovel Knight, do indeed, and drop shovel. Ooh. Oh, yeah, alright now. Yeah, basically, succubuses, basically used to be former love deities before they became corrupted and evil. Alright, I gotta warn you, there's gonna be an ad break. Kind of starting up, so you might, oh wait, there's a shard? Alright, there's a Shovel Knight shard. Alright, got the Shovel Knight shard. Alright, nice. And not a moment too soon. Alright, now watch out, there is a bat that comes down there. Yeah, bats, don't do too much damage because I'm kind of at a really high level, so, but, they are still pretty annoying. They are kind of annoying because, they're kind of fast-moving. Yeah, they can be kind of a hassle, early game because they kind of can do some damage to you. Oh, whoops. Alright, kind of flipped that. Kind of gotta get used to the range of the kick. Alright, now, I got across, nice. I got across in our first try, yeah. There we go, we got the curry. Alright, I got the curry. Alright, which means I can upgrade Pig to its final level. That means, I can make pork curry, which, I can upgrade, the flying pigs to their final level, which is gonna be super good against the dragon. Alright, now, I remember over here is Benjamin. Luckily, we got a waystone for him. Yeah, he's kind of not very bright. He did think, when, as Miriam was talking about her roses on her body being, all the rage in Paris, he kind of thought that was in Spain. Although, to be fair, I probably shouldn't, I probably should be a little less mean to him. After all, it's not unusual for, cities in the human world to kind of, be based on, cities from other parts of the world. So, who knows? There could literally be a place in Spain called, Paris. Alright, Boo-chan, boost me up. Yeah, I can get the chair mimic. Yeah, thanks to Boo-chan, I can, get the chair mimic. Alright, not gonna lie, I do kind of want the chair mimic. Alright, chair mimic has, very broken ability. Alright, not gonna lie, chair mimic does have a very broken ability that's very good. Kind of makes me wonder, we should probably, have more creatures in fiction that, are mimics for things other than treasure chests. I know that treasure chest mimics are kind of the most common one. But, I think we could use a little bit more creatures than just, treasure chest mimics. Although, Castlevania did have, treasure chest mimics, more than a few times. Oh, there it is, the chair shard. Nice, we got the chair mimic shard. Yeah, kind of funny, they put in a chair mimic. I think it's kind of funny if we get to put in a chair mimic. Yeah, unfortunately, the chair mimic can be sometimes a very haha funny, meme enemy, or it can be, kind of terrifying. You know, it kind of depends on the kind of environment that they're kind of in. Alright, Buchan. Alright, Buchan, get that toad. Alright, now, get those toads. Those toads are kind of small and really annoying. Kind of, especially on the uneven ground where you can't just, you know, kick them in the face. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, now that I have, you know, double jump, I can, you know, get the Forneus. I can get Forneus. Yeah, actually, I'll do that a little bit. I'll do that later. Yeah, I'll get the Forneus later. Although, oh, wait. Alright, can I get him to show up over here? Alright, come and get me. No, wait, I remember at one point if you, you know, did a kick you right into the water, you know, it would kind of soft lock you. You know, unless you had a waystone. Yeah, that was kind of a glitch that got patched out. Yeah, good thing Mr. Iga, you know, patched that out. Yeah, good thing Mr. Iga, you know, good thing Mr. Iga, you know, listen to the fans basically. That's kind of part of the reason why this. Yeah, fans complaining about this game is part of the reason why it was kind of delayed for so long. You know, until it eventually came out. Yeah, also yes, slide kicks. Also slide kicks and also kick bounces are, you know, powered up by boots. You know, which does serve to make them just a little bit better. Alright, now. Alright, yeah, unfortunately beers don't have the beer familiar day, just let you, you know, throw beards. Alright, I have a quest to slay demons. Alright, I have a quest to slay demons. Oh wait, maybe I should bring out. I know, I'll bring out this shard. Yeah, I'll bring out this shard, yeah. Yeah, why am I not bringing out the thunder? And the chain lightning is just very strong. The chain Pestocius is, you know, Sposius, or as I call it, chain lightning, is like very strong. It's basically, you know, it's basically Charlotte's, you know, chain lightning, and, you know, it's basically Charlotte's chain lightning. Yeah, when you level it up, it's like really strong. Yeah, I believe, you know, some Macrus also had, you know, chain lightning. It kind of, you know, dropped from, you know, Rakutas, which were like a Thunderbird enemy. Although, you know, putting an actual Thunderbird in the game, you know, would have been, you know, a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I still don't know what a Rakuta is supposed to be. Although, considering that it's a big blue bird that... Alright, up here's the fish dishes, which I'm gonna grab. Yeah, I'll need Forneus later for that. Oh wait, there's another passage down here. Alright, I'll just get this on the map. You know, I do need to get a certain amount of map completion, you know, unlock OD. You know, in this boss fight. Yeah, just having that ability alone is, you know, very strong. And I have not, you know, gotten any other shards or ranked it up. So it's just that strong. Yeah, it's just that strong, you know, that strong on base. I'm pretty good at, you know, eliminating the beers. It's actually the beer chariots that, you know, give you, you know, that actually give you the bear familiar. Which we are probably gonna get. Let's see, the first time I can get that is in the library, which is after Speed Demon. Actually, I can do it before Speed Demon. Yeah, you can do it before Speed Demon thanks to double jump. Of course, it does require, you know, actually being bloodless and going through the library, which is not my favorite level in the game. I'll admit that, you know, the library is not my favorite level in the game. Still a little bit better than, you know, the underwater area. Still a little bit better than, you know, the hellish underwater area once you start getting into that. Now that section is, you know, just pure masochism. That area, I don't quite know what, you know, I don't quite know what he was, you know, smoking when he came with that. Although, you know, most of the game has been fine up to that point, so maybe I shouldn't be too mean to him. I shouldn't be too mean. Oh yeah, this is also the first appearance of, you know, little hammerheads. Yeah, they sometimes drop, you know, familiar shards. Yeah, they drop familiar shards. They drop the little hammerhead shard, which is, you know, a familiar. And of course, them being Medusa heads, you know. Yeah, and of course, they're also something that's Medusa. They're also Medusa heads. And I'm like, Medusa heads. And I'm like, ooh, Medusa heads. Now you know. Yeah, you can't blame me. You can't blame me. Medusa heads, you know. Back when I was playing Aria of Sorrow, they caused me quite a bit of sorrow. Back when I... Let me put it this way. Back when I was playing Aria of Sorrow, you know, Medusa heads were kind of one of the primary causes of sorrow for me. And especially in that one room in the arena. You guys probably already know the room I'm talking about if you ever played the game. You know the one. You know what room I mean. You know exactly the room I mean. I mean the one with the Medusa heads and the spikes and the conveyor belts. And, you know, the frickin' Medusa, the frickin' gold Medusa heads that turn you to stone. Yeah, that room was not fun. I will say that, you know, Aria of Sorrow did also have, you know, that... It also have that one bathroom with the succubus and Lilith. That room was fun, but, you know, not the room with the... Not that one room in the arena. Definitely not. And that room was like, ugh. That room was, you know, pure suffering. Yeah, it's kind of the one room where, you know, being immune to stone actually is useful. You know, you kind of have to grind a tombstone to get it, though. And, you know, tombstone, and I'm pretty sure, you know, getting immunity to petrification is like a really rare shard in the game. And fun fact about Aria of Sorrow, you know, the Lux stat is bugged. Yeah, they didn't fix that, you know, Dawn of Sorrow either. Yeah, luckily in this game, the Lux stat actually does something and works. It's like, you know, yeah. Yeah, some of the old video games, especially on handheld, are like, you know, why does the Lux stat not work? Lux stat does not work in any of them. Except for, funny enough, the one... Yeah, you think it would work, and you would think it would work a little bit more, but, you know, no. Yeah, when I learned that from, like, professional speedrunners, I was like, and they were like, yo, the Lux stat is kind of bugged in this game, it doesn't actually work. And I was like, what? You mean the Gremlin souls, like, you mean Gremlin and Ghost Dancer are actually useless? And yes, in fact, they are useless. I was kind of like, yeah, funny enough, the Soul Eater ring at least still works. Well, at least the Soul Eater ring still works. Although, you know, I had to grind over 9,000 trillion, you know. I still had to grind over 9,000 trillion, yeah. I still remember in Dawn of Sorrow where, you know, had to grind, you know, over 9,000 trillion, you know, peeping eyes for, you know, one soul of it to drop. Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of like saying, you know, yo, the Dominus collection is out, you know, maybe they fixed the bugs, maybe they fixed the Lux stat. And no, they did not. And unfortunately, no, they didn't. No, unfortunately, they did not. Alright, now I knew I could get up here. But now I have a bit of a problem. Yeah, there's kind of that knight in the way and he's gonna knock me down. That's kind of why I don't like fighting enemies that are, like, you know, close to giant pits. You know, kind of reminds me of some Souls-like games where enemies are, like, next to giant pits and, you know, that's kind of, you know, not very fun. Yeah, I will say that, you know, most of the Dark Souls series is, you know, pretty fair for the most part, except for certain parts. Yeah, although, you know, fuck the bed of chaos. Although I think I can speak for everybody when I say, fuck the bed of chaos. The bed of chaos is like one of the worst bosses I've ever seen. It's like just a really badly designed boss, in my opinion. You know, the bed of chaos is like really poorly designed, if I'm gonna be honest. You know, you think with all the remasters of, you know, Dark Souls, you think with all the remasters they would fix that. As they probably should. I mean they nerfed Radon and then they unnerfed Radon. You know, in Elden Ring. And I was like, you know. I mean, props on making, you know, a frustratingly hard boss, you know, a little bit easier, but you know, you know, I think, you know, when people are playing, you know, Souls-like games, they play them for the high difficulty. You know, because, you know, they're purely made for masochism. They're made for masochists to enjoy a little punishment. They're made for, you know, people who enjoy, you know, masochism. They really, really enjoy that kind of gameplay. You know, kind of why, you know, recommend Hollow Knight for them. Although, kind of why I recommend Hollow Knight, you know, Ender Magnolia and Ender Lilies for them. Yeah, they're Castlevanias that are more on, you know, the Dark Souls kind of difficulty scaling. Although I think, you know, yeah, no, I'm not going through that. Oh hey, double hammerheads. Yeah, maybe I can get one of their shards here. Yeah, I don't really plan to get 9 of them. I just want one for soul completion so I can get the Jubal glasses. Yeah, hopefully it'll drop soon. Oh wait, I'm kind of close to a level up, aren't I? No, they do not drop a lot of XP. Although considering the soul drop odds, shard drop odds. Sorry, I have, you know, Aria of Sorrow on the brain. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a little similar, but not quite the same. Although, you know, Miriam being, although I do like in Curse of the Moon that, you know, Miriam uses a whip. I kind of wish, you know, Sonya Belmont was, you know, so canon. Yeah, Sonya... Oh wait, there it is. Oh, I leveled up, nice. Alright, I did in fact level up off them. Nice, I got the little hammerhead. Alright, Double Hammerhead is actually pretty good, not gonna lie. Although it's mainly a shard that mostly does offense. Pretty good at doing the offense, though. Alright, for these toads, I will definitely be using my lightning. Because I do not want to deal with them whatsoever. Because they poison. Which is kind of not nice. Alright, Wolfman slain. Right, Boo-chan, where are you? Boo-chan? Let me try removing it and, you know, re-equipping it. Oh, where's Boo-chan? Right, maybe I should remove it. Alright, Boo-chan, I kind of need you for this. So I can get up here and grab the hair appearance. And of course I need Boo-chan to do a little bit of a boost up here. So I can grab the pasta dishes. Yeah, pasta dish. Alright, pasta is just very good. Nope, I am not dealing with those poison toads. Get out of here with those. Not dealing with poisonous toads now. I ain't dealing with anything that deals poison, because poison is pretty nasty in this game. Yeah, poison is kind of one of the deadliest it's kind of a really deadly element in this game. Although, you know, in most Castlevania games, you know, poison does does different things depending on which game you're playing. Yeah. Although I will say probably the worst Castlevania ailment that, you know, you can ever get is probably, you know, getting cursed in, Order of Ecclesia, yeah. Yeah, in Order of Ecclesia specifically. Because in Order of Ecclesia, you know how curse works? It basically drains your MP and, prevents you from, basically using anything with magic. And guess how you pretty much have to attack in that game. And you pretty much have to attack in that game with magic, unfortunately. Which, is very bad when, you don't have any magic and, you're cursed. And it, keeps you at, 0 MP. So that's, kind of a thing in that game. So that's kind of a really fun part about that game. Yeah, although curse is mostly relevant at the giant swelling, which is a bit of a problem because there's lots of enemies, because there's quite a bit of enemies in that game that, there's quite a bit of enemies there that are cursed that are also kind of resistant, to things like Slash and Pierce, which are kind of the main offensive shards that you'll probably have, since, magic is kind of, strictly worse than, physical ability in that game. Yeah, since, the enemies are basically Ectoplasm and Curse Diva, who would curse in that area. Alright, Alright now, I kind of wish I had some drinks in this. Kind of wish I had drinks right now. Right, surely I can't, take that far surely it can't take that long to, get... Alright, surely it can't take too long to, get... Alright, I do want to, get Scythe Bite so I can, do soul completion. Yeah, I don't have one of those shards yet. Unfortunately, they're being a little stingy, and I'm kind of running low on MP. Alright, could you come out from under there? Yeah, I kind of need you to be up here. Yeah, and they're also one of those enemies like Karabase that kind of are very dodgy of your kicks and all that. Yeah, I think I'll worry about getting Scythe Bite later. I'll worry about getting Scythe Bite later. I'll just get that behind the scenes. I'll worry about getting that behind the scenes. Alright, I'm kind of considering, changing my schedule for, tomorrow night. I know I had Bloodstained, on the schedule for tomorrow, but, I think I should probably, play I think I should probably play Oracle of Seasons instead. So I can kind of knock it up, because, I did have Henry Stickmin originally planned for today, and, I obviously beat that on Monday. Oh wait, another one of Thunder Shards, oh wait. Alright, that'll save me, a little bit of time, grinding that later. Alright, I have to slay some of the... Alright, I do have to slay some of those, shield outsiders. Alright, I got directed shield, which is pretty nice. I did get directed shield. I'll just slay a few of these shield outsiders. I'll slay a few shield outsiders. Over here is a box, but what does this box contain? Oh, special ammunition. I mean, I won't say no to that, but I'm not gonna be using guns too much. Alright, now I'll just get... Alright, now. I need to slay, 2 more of those. Shouldn't be too hard. Should be nice and simple to do. Alright, villain, try and get me. Kick the villain in the face. Kick the villains in the face. Yeah, kicking villains in the face is pretty fun. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, kick villains in the face. Yeah, I got 5 of them. Alright, I got 5 of them. Alright, I will make a brief stop in town. Alright, Alright, now I have some food I need to cook. Alright, I have some food I need to cook right away. I do have enough money to basically do it. I think I have all the ingredients I need. Alright, I should probably at least make cookies. I should probably at least make the cookies.
I haven't seen. What are we transmuting?
Yeah, at least make the cookies.
I'll go with this.
At least make the cookies, then make the chocolate cookies.
I'll go with this.
Make the sponge cake.
I'll go with this.
Wait, I can't. Alright. Alright, so what do I need for pork curry? Curry sauce? Oh wait, I can make the curry sauce. Alright, make the curry sauce. Alright, I will make the pork curry.
I'll go with this.
Yeah, what else do I need?
Great.
Alright, I'll make another curry sauce. So I can make curry and rice.
Great. I'll go with this.
Alright, now what else can I make? Chicken casserole, I need white sauce for that. Wait, what do I need for white sauce again? Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, I need crepes too. Okay, I'll need cookies, I need cinnamon and baking soda. Alright, the white sauce needs... Alright, white sauce needs butter. I need to get butter. Alright, what do I need? Alright, where's the crepe dough again? I need dragon egg for that. Butter and cookies. Looks like I'll need a few cookies for it. Alright, I'll be needing a few cookies. Alright, what do I need for pie dough? Right, cookies and butter, right. I actually just... Now, what else? Alright, soy sauce. It shouldn't be too hard to get the soy sauce. Alright, I'll be needing strawberries and heavy cream. Alright, time to focus on what I need to do.
Come back.
Alright, let's focus on what I need to do. Alright, I'll be needing a few cookies. She's wanting chicken casserole, but I don't know. Right now.
I have. What are you looking to buy?
Alright, I'll need sugar.
Thank you.
Alright, grab a few more sugar. Grab a few cinnamon.
We have a deal. Thank you.
Grab a couple baking soda. Grab a few butters.
We have a deal. Thank you. We have a deal.
Alright, grab a couple curry sauce.
Many thanks.
Alright, now I need like 3 cookies.
Thank you.
Alright, now let's get the... Alright, let's get that white sauce cooked. Alright, now let's get...
Transmuting this time.
First I'll make the cinnamon cookies.
I'll go with this.
Alright, now where is that? Alright, I'll make the pie dough
I'll
too.
go with this.
Alright, where's the white sauce?
Great. I'll go
Alright, I'll
with
just
this.
make the white sauce real quick. Alright, that way we can make macaroni and cheese.
I'll go with this.
Alright, what else can I make?
Great.
Alright, let's see, what else can I make? Alright, I need the white sauce. Alright, I'll need 2 white sauce. Alright, I need 2 white sauce. Now, if I get heavy creams, I can make a spaghetti. Alright, I need to dismantle my rice bowl so I can get some soy sauce. That way I can turn around and make... ginger pork.
I'll go with this.
Right now, let's go grab ourselves some white sauce. And I'll just... Oh wait, there he is.
Really?
Alright, now here comes... Alright, here's Sengetsu. Luckily he doesn't seem...
Wait, you. Sorry.
Luckily he's not... Yeah, luckily he's not... Alright now...
What are you looking to buy?
Alright, let's grab the white sauce. I need a few of those.
Then we have a deal.
And I'm gonna need a bunch of these pie doughs.
Thank you.
And a bunch of these.
Then we
Right
have
now,
a
where's the
deal.
heavy cream? Wait, did I not make heavy cream? Oh shit, I don't think I made heavy cream. Did I need to make heavy cream? Alright, I need to make heavy cream. Alright, what do I need to make heavy cream again?
Are you eating?
Alright, where is
So,
the heavy
What'll
cream?
it be?
I'll go with this.
Right now.
Great.
I can make a couple things. First
I'll
off,
go
let's
with
make
this.
macaroni gratin.
I'll go with this.
Let's make chicken
Great.
casserole.
I'll go with this.
Alright, I need to make more heavy creams. If I make... Alright, if I get some heavy creams... Let's see, I'm pretty sure one of my... Pretty sure something I have, you know... Alright, I'm pretty sure I have something that, you know, breaks down the dragon egg. Alright, I know I have stuff that can be broken down into dragon eggs. So I will be getting that.
I have.
First and foremost,
What are you looking to buy?
let's get like a bunch of these heavy creams.
Thank you.
Alright, got a bunch of the heavy cream. I will grab myself one chicken casserole. One of these.
Many thanks.
Alright, another one of these cookies.
Thank you.
Alright, now.
Many thanks.
I'll grab a couple scrambled eggs. I'll grab a couple egg souffles.
Many thanks.
Grab another macaroni and cheese, because why not? Alright, let's turn in... let's give you the macaroni gratin. Alright, kukri is not very good. Alright, she's wanting cookies now. Good thing I just bought those because I knew I needed them. Alright, she gave me a hair appearance, so that's a one-of-a-kind item. Alright, I need curry and rice. I probably should have got more curry and rice then. Bardiche, which we're not going to use. Alright, and she's wanting Omni Rice. She's wanting Omni Rice. You know, I do kind of myself want to try, you know, Omni Rice one day. You know, if I can ever get it. I don't think I'll be able to get it, you know, my region of the world, though. I don't think I'll be able to get it, you know, in my region of the world, though. I don't think I even know how to make it, or, you know... I don't think anybody around here, you know, knows how to make it either. Right now, what else was I needing? I can make seafood surgery if I get the Furnace for it. Alright, it seems like I need Furnace for blaze for something. Alright, apple pie. Lemon pie. No, wait, what do I need for... Oh wait, I need to break down... Let's see, I need to break down a I'll break down a couple of my scrambled eggs for dragon eggs. So I can turn around and, you know... Alright, I can turn around and use them to make crepe dough.
I'll go with this.
I'll just turn around and make crepe dough out of them. Alright, I have the ability.
I'll go with this.
Alright, I'll make some of that. Alright, I'll make a chocolate crepe.
I'll go with this.
Alright, might as well make cheese. Might as well make cheese just so I can have in the shop.
Great.
Alright, anything else I can make? Classic spaghetti, we're gonna need, you know, black pepper for that, which we don't have access to. We will on the train, though. Alright, now, what else can I make? Alright, fried fish, we're gonna need flour. Alright, now. We won't be able to get that for a while. Alright, oh wait, flan, we need sugar and dragon egg. Alright, now, we need strawberries, though. Alright, I know an enemy dropped strawberries, though. Well, at least I know an enemy has dropped one. Alright, now eat the chicken casserole, eat the curry and rice. Basically eat everything that's not... Basically eat everything that's not nailed down. Especially anything that increases luck. You know, increasing luck is very essential. And, you know, basically means, you know, you'll have an easier time getting shards. And I'll eat the macaroni and cheese. Alright, that'll make me a lot stronger. Alright, that should make me extra strong. No, wait, I should probably turn in my targets. Alright, turn in the targets.
Here's what I've
Alright, we got some steel. We got a Heir Apparent 3. We got some silver, some extra silver.
Here's what I've turned up.
Alright, we'll be able to get to the other enemies later. I could go back and, you know, do accents here, but I don't want to do that. I might as well finish up the harvest. Right now, plant potatoes. Alright, I'll plant potatoes for later. I don't even know what alright. Yeah, I'm pretty sure fried yeah, fried potatoes is used potatoes, yeah. You know, this potato dish uses potatoes, huh? The floor is made of flour. Alright, just being a little tongue-in-cheek about it. Just being a little tongue-in-cheek. You know, you gotta have a little bit of humor when you're doing a VTuber. At least I was told, you know, you have to do that. Alright, sorry, I got kind of absorbed in menus. You know, sometimes when I menu in a video game, I, like, get really absorbed into it, so... Hold on for just a minute. Ow. Hold on for just a minute. Ow, I have to stretch out for a little bit. Alright, hold on, I apologize. I apologize, I'm kind of a little bit in pain. Alright, don't worry about Buchan right there, they're just having a little bit of a moment. You know, very excellently designed game. Yeah, Buchan is just breaking it down. They're just practicing their breakdancing. And since they have, like, 5 legs, you know, they kind of look like they're kind of, you know, are really breaking it down. You know, I'm pretty sure having 5 legs, you know, means you're very good at, you know, at breakdancing. Yeah, they're just having a little bit of a character moment. They're basically going nuts, trying to convince me, you know, not to become corrupted. Yeah, go back to being a cute, sweet, you know, innocent, magical girl, and being not a naughty succubus that does naughty things. Or maybe I can make a magical girl that's also a succubus. You know, why can't I just do that? I mean, why? I don't see why I can't do that. I mean, there was this one manga that, you know, was basically, you know, somebody reincarnating as a succubus, so... I don't see why I couldn't do something like that, but, you know... you know, maybe I shouldn't. But, you know, maybe I need to consider that, you know, not every good idea is a good idea. Alright, now... Alright, just be a little bit careful about some of the enemies in this room. Because they try to knock you into spikes, obviously. Right now. Right now, oh yeah, I get strawberries from those guys. Alright, I do get strawberries from those guys, so... I will be grinding them a little bit. And of course I want to grind them because they drop, you know, G-bone steaks as well. And I need those for food. Luckily they're weak enough so that even if with their resistance to electricity, which they undoubtedly have, you know, they're still getting zapped. Yeah, I just kinda need strawberries and G-bone steaks. Plus I need strawberries anyway for strawberry smoothies later. Yeah, strawberry smoothies are, you know, very good in this game. Ooh, a thunder charge. Alright, I won't say no to more Testosteus, or whatever it's called. Pretty sure I'm butchering that pronunciation quite hard. Yeah, I think it might be Latin or something, I don't know. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the glyph naming invention in Order of Ecclesia. Yeah, just a little bit. Don't worry about me running out of MP, there's kind of a save room right over there, so I don't need to worry about that. Plus, I'm pretty sure I can just take out the first one with, you know, just tips. And, you know, is, even though I'm using a weapon that's kind of weak like Overlanders, it should be good enough to do it. Although I do want to be able to use plenty of lightning. Right now, I need a lot more G-bone steaks. Alright, now I remember that... But mostly it's the strawberries that I'm eating. I'm gonna need it for strawberry crepes as well as, you know, for strawberry pie. Now there is indeed strawberry pie as well as strawberry cake. Yeah, and also the strawberry smoothie. Man, there's a lot of things you can do with strawberries. Although, you know, strawberries are not quite as versatile as, you know, the, you know, 3 major grains of the world, which are like, you know, rice, corn, and wheat. But, you know, you can do basically whatever you want with those 3. You can basically do whatever you want with those 3, and, you know, it's pretty good. As long as you do it right, and, you know, don't do anything weird or experimental with it. But I mean, lots of food, you know, start off being weird and experimental. Hey, do you know what I heard about? Do you know a funny story about, you know, potato chips that I heard? I heard that potato chips were originally, you know, designed by, you know, an angry chef who was basically, you know, had a bit of a Karen as a customer who was, you know, complaining about, you know, their, you know, oh hey there. I'm not a cute bat, no. I'm not a cute bat. That is, you know, misinformation. I'm not cute. Yeah, anyway, so basically there was a chef who, you know, had a problem with, you know, Karen's, you know, kind of complaining about their fries and being like, yo, your fries are not very good. What's wrong with them? You gotta make them thinner because they're like too thick. And so he made them like really thin so he made them like wafer thin and, you know, kind of made chips with them, you know, for the first time, and, you know, the chips, you know, kind of caught on after that. Because, you know, that complaining customer really liked them for some reason. And that's kind of, you know, a story about how potato chips were invented. That, you know, I heard as a kid anyway. I'm not really sure if it's true or not. By the way, you guys are the ones who are cute, by the way. Yeah, all of you, yes, you're all cute, yeah. And I don't want to hear you say you're not cute. I know you're cute. I know all of you are super cute. All of you are super duper cuties, yeah. Yeah, I'm a super baddie pal, you know, who's very batty and loopy. You know, probably from lack of sleep and schizophrenia. Like legit, I have to disease. You know, I am not cute, no. Me being cute is, you know, misinformation, yeah. That's like fake news spread by supervillains and their evil henchmen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, you know, the Great Evil Talking Head's behind it. After all, the Great Evil Talking Head does, you know, lead the evil news organization the lore that, you know, was trying to take over the media dimension at one point. Yes, and the media dimension is a real place in the lore, and yes, it is kind of, you know, inspired by the X1. And, you know, it does, you know, kind of feature, you know, more modern things in media, though. Such as internets and also, you know, video games. There's even a part of it that's basically music. That makes me wonder if I should bring emojis into it. You know, although people might think, you know, bringing emojis into a movie, you know, is, you know, as kind of a centerpiece of anything is, you know, kind of weird. You know, that's kind of why, you know, people thought the Emoji Movie was going to be, you know, kind of a big flop. Although to be fair, you know, I think the Emoji Movie wasn't completely awful, but we definitely should have gotten the Popeye movie instead. You know, Popeye, you know, you know, they were gonna make a Popeye movie, but instead we got the Emoji Movie, and I'm like, why? Why? What's wrong with, you know, making a Popeye movie? Yeah, they definitely should have went with Popeye. Yeah, Popeye is actually pretty cool. Yeah, in fact, I was talking about Popeye earlier, yeah, and saying that, you know, Popeye is actually, you know, very OP. You know, Popeye, you know, survived a god, you know, basically shutting down the universe. And he was like he basically survived that. He was perfectly fine, you know, during that. Yeah, that's a feat that, you know, Popeye has. You know, alright now. Him making, you know, metal beams into, you know, into chains for ships. You know, that's just a casual feat for him. And him being able to spit nails so hard that, you know, they become invented and stuff, that's a casual feat for him. That's not even him on, spinach. And, yeah. And spinach, mind you, is powerful enough to destroy an entire star. Alright, now go, my piggies! Go, piggies! Go, piggies! Go, piggies! Ow. Go, piggies! Go, piggies! Go, piggies! Go, my piggies! Eat pig! Eat pig! Eat pigs of... Feel the pigs of war! 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 Yeah, come on, my piggy minions! Get at my pigs! I know, we have to... Alright, now I will wait for the enemy to stop moving. Alright, he's trying to grind me. Alright, get at my pigs. Get at pigs. Alright, we're gonna have to run. Alright, yeah, the pigs are doing lots of damage. Alright, I'm kind of running low on pigs. Go, Boo-chan! Go, Boo-chan, get him! Come on, Boo-chan, get him! Yeah, that's right. No, they grabbed me, no! Yeah, that's kind of when they're dying. They kind of do that when they're dying. Alright, and then we obviously get their shard. You know, their shard's not... Your shard is not the prize, though. Their shard is kind of the B prize. The big prize is the silver bromide. Yeah, you're probably wondering, silver bromide, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, you're actually supposed to take a picture. You're actually supposed to get a picture of, you know, Miriam for that. Yeah, you have to kind of take it to Dominique since she has the camera set up, since she's always like, you know, yo, you need silver bromide to use the camera. Yeah, I'm not really sure what silver bromide is, but I'm pretty sure it's essential to photography. You know, really old school photography. You know, back when, you know, they had those big giant cameras. You know, they're really, really giant, you know, old school cameras. Wait, you know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, Evil Within. You guys ever played Evil Within 2? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, you know, there was an evil, you know, photographer in that game, and, you know, Evil Within 2. You know, had this, you know, camera obscura monster that was basically a Silent Hill monster that was like, you know, a big camera, that was also based on, you know, the old school cameras. You know, I will say that Evil Within 2 is probably a little bit better than Evil Within 1, but that's because, you know, Evil Within 1 is kind of, you know, very disjointed, if I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, and it kind of has a pretty confusing identity. Yeah, Evil Within 2 kind of seems like it has a bit more of an identity to it, you know, if I'm gonna be honest. Although, to be fair, you know, Evil Within 1 does canonically take place within kind of a madman's, you know, mind that you're basically trying to navigate, which is probably why, you know, things are so mad and disjointed. Which, you know, actually does make sense if you put it within that context. So maybe in a way it's actually really very brilliant. It's just that the gameplay itself is, you know, kind of confusing and, you know, doesn't know what it really wants to be. It's like, is it a stealth? It's like you have stealth, but you barely use it, and you also have to solve puzzles and, you know, craft stuff, but, you know... Then occasionally you're going to have to fight, you're going to have to dodge amnesia monsters, you know, that are in the water. And, you know, or you're going to have to deal with saw traps. You know, like it's a Saw game. What should be fair, I don't really blame... What should be fair, I know that Saw was kind of a big thing back then. Yeah, in fact, you know... Yeah, Saw was, you know, very good when it first came out, but, you know... Once it started getting off the main Jigsaw killer and, you know, getting into his proteges, that's, you know, kind of when, you know, a lot of, you know, the original Jigsaw's goals were kind of lost and, you know, they were starting to kill people for very minor things. But, you know, it was kind of revealed that the original Jigsaw killer was kind of petty, if I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I get that, you know, dishonest insurance people and, you know, all those, you know, white-collar bad guys are, you know, really annoying and all that. But, you know, trapping them inside a giant saw mechanisms and, you know, killing them and, you know, trying, you know, test if they have the will to survive when it's very clear that, you know, they just aren't smart enough to see a solution to, you know, what they're trapped inside is, you know, probably not the best idea. You know, get that point across. No, I am pretty sure that's kind of part of the point. Although most people would say that, you know, kind of logically, but, you know, I think that's kind of the point, though. And, you know, some of the proteges, kind of getting away from, the original Jigsaw Killer Skulls is also kind of part of the point, too. If I'm gonna be, 100% honest. At least it seems like it's supposed to be that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be that. Like it's intentionally made to be that. So I can't complain about it too much. Alright, now everything's pretty much the same, but we are gonna be able to, get rid of assassins pretty soon.
Hi, so.
Right now, what was I wanting to do? Oh, right, the scythe. Alright, I was supposed to upgrade a scythe, wasn't I? Whoops, I kind of forgot to do that.
I'll go with this.
Kind of forgot to do that, and I kind of forgot to do that because I was lost in the sauce. Alright, I probably should have been focused on doing that. No, wait, alright, I got chicken curry. Alright, I'll just make some chicken curry real quick. Alright, what else can I make?
Great.
Alright, I'm pretty sure one of these dishes, required strawberries, wasn't it? I need pasta. I need a lot of pasta. Alright, I need to get more pasta. Alright, I need pasta, and I need... Alright, I don't have access to garlic or black pepper yet. Alright, I do have access to Corneas fillets, but they're kind of a little annoying to get. Oh yeah, I should get some crepes dough too. Alright, now I have my goals for what I need to cook. Alright, I need to get... Man, I mostly need to get... Alright, now, alright, yeah, and I was supposed to talk to, I was supposed to talk to Dominic anyway to, get the photo, active.
Well,
Yeah, I wanted to get a photograph. I got the identification, which we can use for the passports.
What are you looking to buy?
Alright, now I needed pasta. Oh wait, I better grab more flour too. I also need more sugar. I also need sugar for later, but mostly I need lots of pasta. And I need some crepe dough. Alright, now I got all the cooking ingredients I need out of the way. Huh. Yeah, it seems like most of my money is being spent on, cooking ingredients.
Hi, so.
Alright, now let's make this.
I'll go with this.
Alright, it seems like I'm out of ingredients.
I'll go with this.
Alright, it seems like I'm out of one of my ingredients. Alright, now what am I missing? Oh, I'm out of heavy cream, right. I'm out of heavy cream. Well, I'll just go back and get some more heavy cream. Alright, gotta get that heavy cream.
What are you looking to
Alright,
buy?
now let's... Alright, first and foremost, I should probably get... Wait, I have an egg souffle, so I shouldn't be able to do that. Alright, now I need some heavy cream. Alright, I'll grab heavy cream. I'll need some heavy cream. Alright, just need to cook a little bit more.
Transmuting this time.
Right, just need to cook just a little bit more.
Great.
Right now, I need dragon eggs. Alright, I need to break down a couple dragon eggs, too. Alright, what else do I need with dragon egg? Oh, yeah, flan. Right now, I'm pretty sure I have enough alcohol to break down a couple of these egg souffles. Alright, what the hell? I'll break down all three.
I'll go with this.
Break down all three so I can get more dragon egg for later. Alright, make the flan.
I'll go with this.
And it's like steamed egg and milk custard. I'm like, do people really like that sort of thing? I mean, more power to them if they do, but personally not my thing. personally not my thing, you know.
I'll go with
Alright,
this.
I'll make this, you know, pasta bar.
Great.
I don't know how to pronounce that. It's Italian. I'm pretty sure it's Italian anyway. Alright, now the rest of them, I'm pretty sure I need the fillets for anyway.
Come back.
Alright, I do need a fillets for later. Alright, first off and foremost, I should probably eat everything. Starting with the stuff that, you know, does give me luck. Since, you know, luck is a very important stat.
Scrumptious.
Yeah, especially since I get all the stat boost from, you know, eating food. Alright, now, and I'll save the game for now. And tomorrow tomorrow I know it says Bloodstained, but, you know, I think I'll play Oracle of Seasons instead. Alright, now I will go look for somebody to raid right now. I'll play Oracle of Seasons tomorrow. Alright, now, let's see, Alright, let's raid Sparkle Ryuichi, yeah. Alright, raid Sparkle Ryuichi. Alright, now, let's raid them real quick. Huh. Oh well. Whoa, the stream is, you know, dying. Alright, the stream is dying a little bit. Alright, stream is deciding to die for a little bit. Alright, was it doing that earlier? Ugh, I hope not. Alright, Moonbat raid. There we go. See you later. Goodbye.